I'll see you. Ready? But damn. Ooh. What it is, y'all, and thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we got another day and another video fulfilled about some information about my thoughts and my opinions about my beloved Panigale V4 pictured right behind me. So let's talk about it. Now that I finally got it off the stand and I've had a little chance to get a little bit more seat time in it, and made that video about its issues that it already had, you know, with the 1,000 miles. One thing I forgot to cover within that video was that the bike does have some open recalls. With the O-ring around the gas cap and stuff like that, I haven't taken mine in to have it done yet. Really, it's not that big of a deal, but I will do that. Another thing that we've talked about is that the new up map for the bike shuts off. It's kind of like cylinder deactivation, where it shuts off the rear cylinders to cut down on heat as it's idling. Interesting, Ducati. You know, I mean, that's cool because it does still kind of get hot, because even though it's not a V-twin, it's a V4, but the exhaust still exits underneath your ass rather than everything up front like an inline 4. But overall, like I said, the bike really hasn't had any, you know, too many issues. But let's get to the main gist and let's talk about this, you know, bike and everything. And now we got it off the stand, and we got a little bit of seat time in it. You know, my opinions, my views after owning it now for, you know, 3-4 months. You know, what do I think about it? And the big question of the day is would I buy this bike again, or would I recommend this bike to somebody, obviously with some experience riding? So, would I buy this bike again? And in my personal opinion, the answer is no. Solely because, not because I have a 959 as well, or I've ridden the 11s and the 1299. No. The main reason I wouldn't buy this bike is solely because I personally don't do a whole lot of track days, meaning circuit track days. And yes, this bike can do the quarter mile and stuff like that, and that's a video that is actually coming soon. It's obviously not meant for that. It's got the big fat tire in the back, you know, that's a little bit taller, that gives you a little bit more grip, you know, on the turns. This bike is nothing but a corner carver, and that's exactly what it is. Is it fast? Yeah, it's got the horsepower. It damn near keeps up. Well, not with my BMW, but stock ones, absolutely. And it no question about it, it's fast. And it's not to degrade the Ducati experience or anything that the engineers have done, but to me, this bike is nothing but solely built for a purpose racetrack. And even if you get the S model with the adjustable suspension, it's just, it is a rough bike to ride on the street. Now, before all of you guys jump on me and say, oh, it's a track bike, it's a race bike, what do you expect? Well, your Ninjas, your CBRs, your S1000s, you know, those are technically all track bikes, and then they put lights on them, tone them down a little bit, you know, so on and so forth. And now they're a little bit more street friendly. And obviously this bike is very close to like a GP bike, but it still has some things that are not, that still has, this bike doesn't have a lot of features that the MotoGP bike has. If anything, it obviously has more features solely because it's street oriented. So the biggest reason why I wouldn't recommend this bike to somebody else, now if it was their first, you know, Ducati and you love it and that's what it is, and comfort is just not really a factor or an issue for you, you know, right now it doesn't really bother me because I have so many other motorcycles that I can ride. And then when I want to ride this one and dive into some corners, then I'll take this because that's where this bike shines. But comfort-wise, you know, even with the comfort seat, I actually was riding a fellow friend's bike that had the comfort seat on it. It's better, but it's not nowhere near like any of the other bikes, like an S1000, a CBR, a Ninja, whatever. You know, and you can arguably say, well, it's half the bike, this, that, whatever. Well, what comfortability and cruising around town is a big factor with a lot of people, because a lot of these young kids and a lot of, you know, even older adults or young adults ride these bikes often and commute with them. And this bike is hands down probably the worst commuting bike I've ever ridden as far as in the Crotch Rocket family. However, as far as turning and stuff like that, when I was flying around corners and such like that, it is hands down probably one of the best bikes I've ever ridden. So running forth and running onto that, you know, you got to you're going to get a little bit over here, you're going to take a little bit over there. You can't have all of it in one package. Now, however, not solely because I own this bike, I do traditionally think as an all-around bike, the S1000, as far as comfort, as far as power, as far as, you know, race ready for the track, you know, and even a price point, because that bike, you know, base is a hell of a lot more than this bike, whatever. I think this is the overall best complete package outside of the big four. But this video is not about that, you know, but the seat, the sitting angle, you know, everything is obviously a little bit more street friendly on this one. As you look on this bike, you know, the rear subframe and the seat position is obviously much higher raised up, and I get it. It's designed to be on the racetrack, and that's why it's not so street friendly. So my hat is still, you know, I take my hat off to all the Ducati engineers for building a sick race bike. But street-wise, it's not very friendly at all. And you know, the low seat, you know, the lack of seat cushion. You're supposed to lean this sucker. You're supposed to feel the bike. You're supposed to do all these things. It's supposed to have the sticky tires and everything. Everything about the 5 things that I made in that video about the things that I don't like about my Ducati is all pretty much designed because it's so heavily oriented into a race bike. As it should be, because that's what their goal was and what they were going for. Now, the one thing that I do recommend about this bike and why, I'm not gonna lie, the main reason I hold on to it the most is because of the way it looks. And call it shallow, call it stupid, whatever, but I think this is probably the best looking crotch rocket ever made. Now, that's my opinion. Now, whether it's true or not, or other people have different opinions or experiences, this is my opinion. And I love it so much, and I've always wanted to Ducati, and I didn't really care so much for the 1199s and the 1299s. That's why I didn't buy it. But when I saw this, I'm like, God, I have to have it. And unfortunately, I was in a place where I can buy it, and that's why I haven't sold it, even though it is listed for sale still. If the price is right, anything's for sale. But that's why I love it, and I think just it is just not only a sinister, a sexy looking motorcycle, and everything about it. It's like that, you know, it's like a Ferrari, you know, that Ferrari red. It is just so pretty, and that's another reason why I love it. But would I buy the bike again? And after having multiple Japanese bikes, riding all the KTMs and, you know, the S1000s and even the Aprilia RS V4, you know, which I think is a ugly ass bike, probably one of the ugliest crotch rockets, but damn does it go around a track and handle, and even the rideability is great, but it's just not for me. It just didn't do it for me. This is definitely a bike that I would just love to stick in my living room and just look at it because it is so pretty. It's just like a work of art. But damn it, boy, if you want to go around a circuit track and lean and drag that knee and drift and stuff like that, it is the bike. That's why. But if you're going to commute and you're going to ride around and, you know, like most crotch rockets do on the street, you know, where you see guys on Ninjas, CBRs, Jigsters, R6s, R1s, you know, you know, just to name the big four. It's definitely not it. It's got the power, absolutely, and it's definitely got the looks. The looks is out of this world, but it is really not, you know, not that friendly. And when you're going slow, it's very jerky. But again, it's not designed to go slow. It's designed to haul ass around the track and around turns. So I get it, you know, absolutely. And you could feel it, you know, it's got a lot of timing. It's got a lot of exhaust heat. Even with the aftermarket exhaust, the Akrapovic titanium, it still creates a lot of heat. But again, when you're doing 100, 150 miles an hour around the racetrack and you're moving all the time, it's not really that hot. It stays cool. But sitting in traffic, man, you know, you can forget about having kids if you're a dude riding this thing, because it still does get hot, you know, absolutely. So it's it's still a piece of art, and it's a piece of work. So that's just a few touches that I would, you know, like to touch on, you know, about this bike. And it has nothing to do with the mechanical reliability, about the engine or anything like that, you know. So what, it's had a few problems here and there, but you know what, it's a machine. All of them are, you know. Look, my Diavo broke, like, what was it? Like the third day I had it. Whatever, shit happens, you know. So, you know, the throttle position broke once on the BMW. So what? Shit happens, you know. And it's a machine, you know, and everything can be fixed and it can be replaced. So reliability-wise, I think it's great. Street friendliness on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 2 at best. Looks, I'd give it a 20, but if you have other bikes and other crotch rockets, then hell yeah. I definitely say go get it, and it's a great addition if you can afford it. If it's going to be your sole and only first bike, absolutely not. I would definitely say as an all-around bike, if you're in the 1000 series, definitely look out the S1000s, maybe an RS V4. I would definitely also check out the other big four. You'll like it. It's much smoother. It rides, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper to maintain and fix. God forbid anything happens to it, because anything Ducati, it doesn't matter what it is. If you like OEM shit and not a lot of aftermarket stuff, don't buy a Ducati, because everything is twice as expensive as those Japanese bikes. But this is not, again, not to nag on anything that Ducati made, anything that, you know, I think that the bike is horrible because it's great. It's just not street friendly, and that's cool, and that's fine. And they won in exactly what it is. So we're going to see how this thing's going to do going around a bunch of racetracks and stuff like that, and see if they get some championships and some titles with it, which is they damn well may should. So it is a kick-ass bike, and it is a killer looking bike, and as far, like I said, the looks in this department is out of this world, you know. So my opinions, you know, if I missed something, or if anyone else has their own opinion, you know, I'd love to hear their input on it, you know. Yeah, every bike, in my opinion, is perfect in its own way, and this bike is perfect in its own way for exactly what it does, as well as the Cruiser, as well as my BMW and any other motorcycle that I have or had, you know, in the past. It's perfect in its own way. I hope you guys like what you saw. Again, don't forget to subscribe. You can also check me out on Instagram at the Speedbug, same name here as YouTube, and we'll see you here for another episode here on the Speedbug channel.